Hello, everyone. It's Adam here. Another question I get often is, what are my hobbies outside of motorcycling? And this is a question I wouldn't be able to answer 5 years ago because my only addiction from like 1999 to like 2012 was technology products. I was the kid with like three cell phones, so you can't pick the best one. And now underneath my iMac is brake pads. So for the K75 I just bought. Um, so it's like, it's interesting how much of a difference it's been in the past 5 years. So I mean, I remember being a kid, I would get the Mac Mall magazine every month, and I would look at the G4 Cube back when it was out and just like lust over it. Come on. Sure, Porter wants to make an appearance. Come here. I guess he doesn't. Hi, buddy. Um, so G4 Cube, the cinema display, the studio display, the Harman Kardon Apple Pro speakers, all this stuff. I mean, I just loved all that Apple stuff. Um, my first cell phone was like a Nokia 5200, and then I got the Razor, then I got the Pebble, and then I got the Rocker because it was Apple branded. And then I finally, when I started buying Blackberries, I had a Trio 650. And then finally the iPhone 1 came out, and I've been an iPhone user ever since, just because, I'm an Apple lover. So I've just, if you look back, I actually did a couple of videos. I did an Apple fanboy video, two of those. And I did a video about unboxing some of my old shirts. So that's all on this channel if you want to check those out. And if you go way back, you'll definitely see some old Apple stuff. So, well done. He will take scratches forever. And in San Francisco, I certainly got into, fine dining a bit more. Got a lot more into wine. Being in Northern California, wine is just, it's just, you're in the center of it. So I got really into wine. And I carried that wine passion into New Hampshire, and then quickly kind of got out of it because I realized how volatile wine is as far as collecting it. So a couple things. So transporting wine is very hard. The older it gets, it needs to be very still, undisturbed, cool, dark, etc. Certain humidity. Wine is incredibly picky. Most wine is not ageable. Most wine should be consumed fresh, and most wine does not increase in value. So if you go out there thinking you're going to get into wine as a money-making thing, just drink the wine and enjoy it for what it is. Go use that money to travel to wineries and enjoy them at the source. Don't go crazy. I brought 50 bottles of wine with me to New Hampshire from San Francisco, and they all turned into vinegar in transit. So it just really turned me off to that. I still love wine, but I just don't collect it anymore. Well, no, I collect champagne, but I'll get into that in a second. Yeah, so I decided to start getting into beer. It's very a New England thing to be into beer. And this is before all the kind of milkshake IPAs, which I think are totally disgusting. When you just drink those thick milkshake IPAs, they're full of like proteins and suspended yeast. It's really gross. So, I'm not saying drink filtered beer, but the slushy stuff is just nasty. It's like when I brew homebrew and don't use Irish moss or don't cold crash, that's the result, and it's really nasty. So I don't know what the deal is with that. But I got into beer. Beer, even though it doesn't age as well as wine, beer is less temperamental to swings in temperature. So whereas a wine over 3 years can turn into vinegar, a beer over the course of 3 years will most likely improve or at least stay the same, especially if you keep it in a cool environment. So between 2013 and 2016, I spent a lot of money in beer, trading it, buying it, traveling for it. Heather and I have about 2,000 bottles in 3 different basements, and we still travel for beer. We love it. I've cut back on drinking a little bit just because as you get older, carrying like 20 pounds of extra belly fat increases your risk overall for various cancers and diseases. So it's something just to, beer is, one summer I didn't drink beer all summer, and I lost like 35 pounds I didn't start working out or exercising or eating right. I still ate Taco Bell. I just didn't drink beer, and that just could show you how much carbs are in that. Um, so I still purchase probably 30 bottles a month of beer, and I probably drink about 30 bottles a month. So like right now, we kind of have a good flow of just inbound, outbound beer. But I'm not drinking for January, so that's kind of goes to show you how beer does add up. We keep buying it because we're in 5 different clubs. So got into beer. That's an understatement, but that was kind of my like big hobby for three or so years, and then after beer, well, I kind of expanded that into ice cider, mead, champagne. Yeah, those 3 things. Not really ice wine very much. Champagne has been great. Heather and I have probably sampled over 100 different kind of champagnes. We have only been to the Champagne region of France once. We want to go back. We want to go every year, but then we bought a house, and it's kind of been pushed back. We used to go to at least 2 or 3 beer festivals a year in Europe, and now we go to one every 2 years because it's just we can't travel like we used to. And champagne is more volatile for storage. However, it does keep better depending on what you buy. So we have a few dozen bottles of champagne that we're aging. We do drink them from time to time though, and they were all acquired for really cheap. Like I'm talking like 10 euros a bottle, nothing crazy, plus 5 euros shipping to get them from Europe to here, because we ship in bulk. I've got a guy in Belgium who I'll drop off 150 bottles at his place, and he'll ship them out to me in 4 boxes. Really, really nice, good job. It's expensive, but it's a couple years of Belgian beer and French wine. So alcohol has been a hobby. I take these annual breaks for like 4 to 6 weeks off just to kind of reset, and it's really helpful for me both in my health, my weight, and just kind of a self-check on alcoholism. No one in my family drinks except for me. My mom started drinking now that she's older, but it's not something that I'm predisposed to. And then all this while I've kind of been getting into more and more expensive photography and videography stuff. As you guys have seen on this channel has cost me thousands of dollars in video equipment. You've got like a $700 tripod, a $350 head, a $200 gimbal, and then a $1,200 iPhone. This is a travel setup. But it makes money. I'm basically not making money on the YouTube videos. I just put it back in the channel, and that's it's a deduction for that business line item. So, and you guys get higher quality year over year. If you look back 3 or 4 years ago, it's pretty apparent how much the quality's improved, even though my editing skills aren't any better. I really still, as far as technology goes, I still run a virtual private server that I maintain, has a bunch of services on it, RSS server, photo hosting. I have a server rack in the basement with a Ubiquiti Unify system, a PoE switch and router, a DOCSIS 3.1 modem that's 200 megabits down from Comcast, not as much up. And we've got 3 or 4 of these long-range 802.11 AC access points around the house. The whole house is wired for Cat 6. The NAS downstairs is 60 terabytes. It's a Synology NAS with 60 terabytes in it, with a bunch of services, Docker that downloads my... So I don't watch YouTube videos. I download them from YouTube as they get pushed. So I subscribe to the RSS, the OPML file from YouTube of my subscriptions, and then it goes and downloads those videos from YouTube and loads them into a Plex installation. So I get my videos from YouTube, but they're stored locally without ads, and no annotations, no popovers, nothing like that. So when someone says, click the thumbnail to the left, I can't see that because it's all stored locally. It's all pushed up to AWS with Glacier. I've started getting to AWS. I still run a VPS out of LA, but I've gotten more into AWS because that's what I'm doing for my work now. So I do have my AWS account. I just have a quick light sale and EC2 instance, and then Amazon Glacier I'm using for all of my data. Well, my important data, 18 terabytes of my data every month that gets synchronized with the Glacier cloud database. So yeah, I really like my home setup a lot. We've got HomeKit everywhere. We've got an iPad mini hooked to the wall. Everything is controlled by your voice. Doors. The only thing we don't have yet is the HomeKit window shades, which we will do this year. That's like our last thing. And I don't have a garage, so I don't have a garage door opener, but everything else is on HomeKit. It's really, really, really nice. Gaming, I've always kind of been casual into gaming. I play 1 to 2 games a year all the way through. So like recently I just finished Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm going to start LA Noire, the remastered version, in a few weeks. Once summer starts, I don't really play that many games, although on the weekends I might play some Civ 5 or Civ 6. I like simulation games, so SimCity is still a fun thing for me to play. But I'm on a Mac, so you kind of are stuck with what you play. But then I also have an Xbox One X over there that I use for the more modern AAA games. Still an Apple fanboy. I love Apple products. That's still probably my highest spending per year is Apple products. Very close to motorcycle spending, but not much. And I still like kind of doing server administration, security hardening, that kind of stuff. It's just fun for me. I know it's kind of dumb to some people. And then photography, yeah, I mean, I have my Canon 5D Mark III. I know the Mark IV is out, but I really want to spend money on lenses and not new bodies, because the bodies are, for me, going 5D to Mark III to Mark IV is kind of incremental. I'm kind of waiting for Canon to release a SLR that does 4K 60 FPS, and then I might consider jumping. Cooking, I love cooking. Don't do it as much as I used to, but going to the co-op, spending $40 on ingredients and just spending 3 or 4 hours cooking, I really love it a lot. It's not including spices, because we have a lot of spices here. So open a Pinot Grigio or Champagne, and get some fresh pasta and some scallops. Make a sauce. It's just, I love it. So much fun. Coffee is another hobby of mine. So total spending on coffee is only about $25 a month now, as I have finally pared down the single origin subscription models to 2 different single origin beans per month, 2 weeks per bag. I think it's $33 with shipping from Counterculture. I don't like Counterculture beans. They're not my favorite beans, but they fit my budget. Everything now is kind of a budget item. Then I've got my coffee set up over there. I recently sold my espresso machine and my grinder. I want to get back into espresso one day, but we just don't have the kitchen size for it, so I just kind of eliminated it. We're very green in this house. We have solar panels, which is nice. We've got on-demand water heater. It's a well, so we've got free water. Very, very good water. It's great for homebrewing. I homebrewed for a couple of years. I still have all the equipment. I want to get back into it, but it kind of is counterproductive to the fact that I'm buying 20 to 30 bottles a month of beer, and then when you homebrew, you're getting 60 bottles out of that. So I can't really homebrew because I would have to drink all of it. That's the problem. But one day I'll get back into it. Probably once we build a deck off the front of this building here, I'll be able to walk outside and brew outside. You need a powerful butane blower for homebrew, and you can't obviously do that indoors because you'll get CO2 sickness. CO2 sickness, carbon monoxide sickness. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't go to college. I like to think of myself as an audiophile, but I've kind of relinquished that thing. It's just not, audiophiles spend millions of dollars on equipment, and I can't do that. So I've given up on that dream. I still have a lot of FLAC files. I still keep all my stuff in AAC, VBR, 320 kbps files. Everything's ripped from the source. I love my Shure SE530 earphones. I love my Shure SRH 840 headphones. I like my really nice final setup over there with my Audio Engine A5s and sub. I like good audio. I haven't really got into streaming yet because the compression, I don't like it. But I'm not I don't have vacuum tubes and crazy amplifiers or anything. I don't, or powered headphones. I just don't. I drew a line in the sand, which was you can only do so much while still not being an asshole, and that's kind of where I drew my line. So I care about good audio, but I don't invest further in it. I bought both of my Shure earphones in 06. and they're now 12 years old and they're still rocking. So like, good quality stuff lasts you a long time. I just don't. I don't put any more money into it if I can help it. What else do we have? Coffee, audio stuff, photography, videography. I read about an hour a day. That's one of my things I do. So I have an iPad. I read not the news, but I read long form editorials. They could be interviews. They could be what's the word for it? Where they interview people, like interview all the Sopranos characters, something history. Anyway, like long form stuff, like 30, 45-minute articles. I love that kind of stuff. So I don't really follow current events. I don't really know what's going on in the world. But like a year from now, there'll be a nice report that talks about something that happened. I guess like something about Trump or something would get published. And then I'll read that and it'll catch me up on everything. So I can still have conversations with people, but I'm not wasting my mind share in the current events. It's just very distracting. So reading is really big for me. When I'm camping, I always have my iPad with me and I just go to bed early and I read for hours. I love it. Under the stars, 2 or 3 hours of reading. It's my favorite thing to do. I am very big into movies. So I've seen thousands of movies. On my Plex server, we have 2,000 movies and 120 different TV series. I love film. When I was in San Francisco, every Saturday I would go and I would watch 5 to 7 movies. No, 3 to 5 movies. That's more like it. And I'd watch every movie in theater, basically. I wouldn't discriminate against like romance or crime or drama or whatever. I'd watch everything. And there's no theater near me. There is one, but it's like flat seating, very sticky concrete floors. The screen is like 140 inches. It's not very big. So I haven't been to the theater in a long time. When Heather and I travel, we go to IMAX films because that's, we both love movies, and we don't have an IMAX near us. It's like 2 hours away. So film is big. My ex-girlfriend, my second girlfriend, got me into TV shows, but I still prefer movies to TV shows. I think TV writers are lazy. Movies are like tweets. You really have to get a lot into your 2 hours. And while the runtime of movies is getting progressively longer over the years, I don't think 140 hours of content should exist to tell a story like Lost. Lost should not be 140 hours of content. It should be, a trilogy. But yet they stretch it out, and it seems like it's just lazy writing. So the brevity of movies is what's most appealing to me. And I guess I've always been kind of a busy guy. So movies also kind of appeal to me because I can't really watch a whole TV series without letting things fall off to the side. I'm trying to go through my mind here. Well, motorcycling, but you guys are aware of that. Obviously I'm into sports cars as well. One thing that there's a nice relationship between wine and beer and sports cars and motorcycles. I came to realize to try the top 50 wines in the world, I would have to have many millions of dollars to my name to do this. But to try the top 50 beers in the world, you'll need to spend 30 or 40 grand. I know that seems crazy, but we're talking about $2,000-$3,000 bottles of beer once you get to the top beers. That is more attainable, 40 grand versus $1 million, basically. And so I have found that the same relates to sports cars. I had a Mark 6 Golf R and I have a Mark 7 Golf R. I put about $10,000 into them each, and they're great vehicles, but you need to spend 65 grand to get an Audi RS3. And then you need to spend 100 grand to get a gently used 911 Turbo S. So to go up the chain of European sports cars, it quickly overshadows my earning potential or my ability to just not have a loan that's a 10-year loan. So getting into motorcycles is great because yes, the GS is horribly expensive at 20 grand. But I'm comparing the 20 grand of a GS to 40 grand to a car, and the GS brings me almost twice the enjoyment. So they don't, when you compare it to a car, it seems cheap. Now I know that like it's more probably fair to compare like an R1 to a 911 Turbo S. Was it 11, 12 grand, or maybe it's 15 versus 125 grand new. That's an even bigger dichotomy. But so, I think I actually prefer cars to bikes, not from an experience of actually operating them, but just from what they are, what they're capable of, how they look, what they can do for me. But it's back to the wine and beer thing. I can't afford to be a car person like I am a bike person. So, like to get like a Range Rover, a Land Rover Defender, and do to it what I did to the GSA, it's way more money. So that's just kind of my like bit about that, or a Jeep Wrangler or something. Yeah, I think that's it for this video. I've enjoyed talking about my hobbies with you guys. I think it's stuff I don't talk about that much on the channel, but if you go back for the past 4 or 5 years, you'll see all this stuff is in there. It's just not recent. So, another video in the bag of me talking to myself. Thanks for watching, everyone, and